Hi everyone. So we have for the next session Vikas Singh. He's the founder of Block Labs and also the CEO of Block Labs. He's going to talk us through some NFTs. Um, how do I put it? He's going to tell us if NFTs are a thing, a next big thing, or they're just like a fad that we saw with ICOs, right, Vikas?
Yeah, thank you, Anupam.
Yeah. Thanks, Vikas. Over to you. We'll chat after the presentation. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Anupam. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, and good morning, good evening, like all the participants who ever joined from whichever continent. I'm just sharing my screen. Just give me a moment. Let me know if this is good enough. Can I get a yes or no in the chat? Yeah, awesome. So I'll talk about the NFTs. Before that, I just want you to let you know about a bit about me. I started Block Labs in 2018. We are still working on few products in the backend, and one of the recent product that we are building is ReachOut.network. I'll talk about it a bit more in the later part. And before we begin, I just want to let everyone know that whatever the NFTs or anything that I have taken from anywhere, like I have put a source in it. And before I talk anything about NFTs, I really want to tell you that I have already skin in the game. This is my public wallet, which anybody can see and go. And this is just one of my public wallet, just which is linked to my company's address. This .eth is just like an ENS for the people who do not know about all these things. So it's just like another TLD, so which works in decentralized world. So .com, .in, .co, those are the TLDs, top level domains, and one of the domains that Ethereum brought is .eth, and this is my wallet. So I have skin in the game. So take my discussions or my views. You can always think that take a pinch with a pinch of salt, right? And
Hi, Vikas.
before,
Just to interject, if you could make it full presentation, yeah.
okay,
Yeah, so that
I
people can
was
see it.
hesitating. Sure. Let me know if it is working fine, Abhijit.
Yeah. So that just the small text people can see. Yeah, it's great.
Okay, this text is fine.
Yeah. We can see the
Thank
Bloque
you.
labs.eth. Thank you. Continue, please.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and before we begin, I think I really want everyone to think about this thing. In the real world, there is this personality we all know, like at least in India, we all are aware like of this person, Mahatma Gandhi. And this guy had his spectacles, which uh, which is which is thought to be like he has worn them at once in his life, and somehow somebody is ready to pay as much as 260K, right? So that 260K euro, sorry, pounds, is a lot of money. So I was actually wanted to keep it interactive, so I just thought of like having that. But my question would be for the audience: why do you think like somebody is ready to pay as much as 260K euros, sorry, pounds for this those spectacles, which was once worn by Mahatma Gandhi? One liner answers would be great. I would check back into this chat once. Uh, Okay, so anyway, I think it's better for me to continue. So I think my personal opinion for this is because anything that has a heritage, that the value, those things actually becomes, let's say, unique in some way, and those are always perceived as very very precious because this is somehow understood that they would never be it. There would never be a second spectacle or in the world like which will ever be worn by that personality. This is just in the context of the spectacles, right? It can be any other thing, right? Any person. Let's say if I take an example, let's say Atal Bihari Vajpayee, the previous prime minister of India. He's also late prime minister of India. So he used to write poems, right? So I would say like what, let's say if they tend to sell those today, what could have been the notional value of those things? And why all those make sense in the physical world? Because we all think that that has some notional value because it is unique and I get to touch and feel it, and I can see it visually, and it can be a very, very good souvenir, right? So considering everything around it, right? And we all knows like beauty lies in the eyes of beholder. We all know like somebody is ready to pay something for that, right? We know that. Similarly, I would say, if anybody can think about like what is the notional value of Mona Lisa painting can be. I took this thing. This is an NFT generated by Jack Butcher, like which right now trading, or not trading, but kept as for the market value of 64 ether. But this is what the essence lies. Like most of the people think like it is just JPEG flying around, and anybody can actually go on to any JPEG. JPEG means image, and they can just simply do a right click and do save image as, and they would still be owning the very same value. Technically, everyone is right in their mindset, but nobody will be able to actually create that bond with the artist directly, right? And that's where the whole essence lies. What is an NFT, right? Those NFTs actually is some sort of a culture or a tribe, or a extension of you, because of which you actually like, or you consider like even researching or buying or even reading about NFTs. NFTs are actually a new wave of, let's say, I would say, meme economy, but it is something that actually attracts you by its culture, right? And to the people like who really, really want to actually find the technical distilled down version, it's a tool to transfer the ownership of any digital product. And I will invest a minute or two here. Now think about a situation. Let's say I own a PDF, and I am saying that this is going to be a single PDF in the whole world, and I'm not gonna do a control C and control V on it. How do anyone actually believe me on that part? And consider that that PDF is generated, let's say, by my, let's say, digital, let's say it's a PDF of 5 wallpaper, right? And that PDF has been generated by, let's say, a digital tool, let's say Adobe XD or Photoshop or something, right? And I'm saying that this digital content is not going to be replicated again over internet. Whoever will own it 100%. And I will transfer not just the ownership, let's say I'll also transfer the files along with it, right? Blockchain, in the previous, before the NFT hype actually was built up, actually solved this problem already. So in the Bitcoin world, whenever you actually send a Bitcoin from point A to point B, it's not the Bitcoin which is traveling, it's the ownership which is traveling to let's say modify that many Bitcoins that transaction is representing. If I'm sending one Bitcoin from my account to that particular account, a little bit math is definitely there, but it was the computer science hard problem which was solved in Bitcoin. And that very same fundamental is getting leveraged here to actually taking it on steroids and making something and converting it into a culture. If Bitcoin could be considered as a culture where, let's say, digital nomads or tech savvy people, or let's say, of course, Silk Road people were actually using for the whole commerce. I think this NFT is bringing the whole new visually appealing culture into the mainstream thing, right? And coming back to that PDF example, nobody will be able to trust me as long as I do not actually send the or transfer the ownership of it. If you take it in the physical world, if I actually say that I have a 100 rupee note which has a serial number, specific serial number on it, and I have given that 100 rupee note in to, let's say, Anupam, I can never pull the same note from my pocket with the same serial number, because in the physical world I have actually given the ownership of 100 rupees to Anupam, because it says that the bearer has the rights or something, right? So all those things from the physical world, how do we mimic into the digital world? And NFT is an answer to that. NFTs is not just the culture, like the JPEGs flying around. It's actually the ownership transfer in the most simplest way, right? And that is why we are able to actually now think about many other things. Like, this is just the beginning of it. The JPEG culture and this whole, let's say, audio getting monetized. NBA Top Shot is a pretty cool example that real life old digital medium is also getting monetized, and it is also bringing the culture in it. So this is a tool to transfer the ownership of any digital product, and we can be so sure that, okay, if I'm getting the ownership of that, then nobody else in the whole world can actually claim that. Mathematics helps us that way. Cryptography. So people, for the people like who do not get, let's say, who do not buy the concept of, let's say, hey, we don't care like how many images are actually there, we don't care like who let's say what CryptoPunks are, right, what Bored Ape Yacht Club is. But let's say for those people who think like, okay, the more real world transfer, more real world ownership transfer use cases will make more meaning for them. So this is an example of that. Recently I was there in the live stream of this thing. So this is a company called Molecules and Vita DAO. These guys are actually have transferred the ownership of one patent. They converted into an NFT. That is their proprietary thing. That how did they converted that patent into an NFT? But that was one biopharma, in the biopharma space. They converted that patent into an NFT, transferred the ownership to the other company, and they did it all via like being live streamed. They did it all on the YouTube live stream, right? So this actually is creating not just JPEGs flying around. It is actually underneath. It is creating more use cases and more subtle ways that how you can transfer the ownership of any digital product. IP is sometimes that's one, right? This is to give the let's say, so that people can wrap their head around it, whether it's a FUD or like another under the cult. I would say a single platform called OpenSea. There are many platforms like this, but this single platform has actually exchanged the volume of almost $3.4 billion in just 1 month. That was August. Of course, the volumes are a little bit low. August saw crazy volumes, but this is the peak volume that we have seen, and that is just 1 month. And that much amount of volume, OpenSea never did it from the point they started. So everything actually comes to a point of, let's say, maybe it is a peak inflation. And maybe if you know about the Gartner hype cycle, maybe it can be in the peak inflation. But every peak inflation actually creates a new culture, right? So that is just tres commas on just one platform. Think about how many platforms like OpenSea exist in the world, right? And now I want to actually leave you with this one thing. Like, if from the last almost 10 years now, 2008 or 12 years now, 2008 is the one when the first Bitcoin, let's say, paper came, and then in January 2009, the network went live. Crypto has gone through many ups and downs, right? And it has definitely touched the peak of inflation as well, like in the Gartner cycle. And many times it has been labeled as dead, right? But what we have seen, it has introduced a new form of money. The money that we know it as we know it, it has actually somehow has changed. The people in the blockchain world will definitely peg their information of economy, of money, definitely to crypto, because crypto has created that versus picture. What has been done till now in everywhere, and what is happening now, right? So crypto has definitely introduced a new form of money. Similar pattern can be seen in this. NFT is actually bringing a new culture onto the surface. And this culture can actually, today it's taking the shape of JPEGs flying around. Tomorrow it can take a shape of, let's say, patents flying around. Day after tomorrow, it can be open source code, the repo to that code, or sorry, the link to that repo, the private repos flying around. Nobody knows the extension of this NFT. Tomorrow, this culture can shift and take over open source community, right? How do we behave then, right? So this culture is actually the most important thing, and this is what NFT is actually bringing onto the table. And this is where I stop. I will leave to you. And shameless plug, we are hiring for a few people. Then you can always, we are building reach out network. You can send me the resume. And this is thank you for everyone's time and attention. Everyone gets a thank you. Everyone can decide by themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Vikas. Pretty good overview. So definitely not a fad then, yeah? Not a fad.
Yeah,
That's
I
what, yeah.
just want people to decide for
Yeah.
themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's take some questions first. Avinash asking, if you send a Bitcoin from A to B, then is point B still getting that Bitcoin in the form of respective currency or as it is? So I think we need to explain in the signature thing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
essentially what lies is this, like you so let's say I'm sending my one bitcoin to Anupam. So essentially when I'm actually doing that, in let's consider in the banking industry. So generally I log in onto my bank, I initiate a transaction, I then an OTP comes, I fill in the OTP, and then the transaction goes through, and then I see a debit entry, and Anupam sees a credit entry of, let's say, rupees X, right? Similarly, in the Bitcoin world, actually, what happens is, of course, the maths is definitely there. It's not like just like the signatures are flying around. But what happens in the Bitcoin world, I own a private key, right? And private key and public key are the basic fundamental. Private key and public key can, if people do not understand, but they can understand from HTTP versus HTTPS. Whatever the technology goes into make converting HTTP to HTTPS is exactly the same technology which converts or which fuels any blockchain. Those are called certificates. So basis on that certificate, there is something called private key. It's like consider it's like your password and the combination of your OTP. So as long as I sign a particular transaction in which I mention it, I mention, how do I mention? I'll contact Anupam and I'll take his address, and I'll mention, okay, I want this address now to hold one ownership of one Bitcoin from my account, shift the ownership of one Bitcoin from my account to his account, and I sign that. Once I sign that, I push it onto the network. Everyone says, okay, everyone do the checks and balances on my account, whether I hold that many Bitcoins or not. And then everyone says, okay, Vikas has actually transferred the ownership. So it's like every new Bitcoin, you can say, is a kind of combination of what you just mentioned, both. Like it's the signatures underlying. It's very simple as well as complex as well. Means I don't want to go into the coin join algorithm. How do those algorithms actually pick the Bitcoin? I hope
Yeah.
that answers the questions for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that you've said it, you kind of have to send it to me, one Bitcoin.
Oh.
You were not reading the question, the chat actually. So when you asked about Mahatma Gandhi, the people were, commenting that they have sentimental value because they're a historical figure. And
Mhm.
Rupali said that they're a symbol. Shrikar said that it's an asset. So if you could just elaborate a little bit on that side, Vikas, is it like what is it that I mean, people are coming and saying anything can be NFT, just like anything could be tokenized, anything could be NFT. So where does that stop? Like, can we stop it at assets? Can we stop it at paintings? Can we GIFs, JPEGs, or is it just like the world is your oyster kind of situation?
So yes, so your question actually has many layers to it, but I'm so sorry because I was on full screen. I
No
cannot switch
worries.
between
Yeah.
those
One guy,
windows.
Shubham said it's a FOMO and human
Hmm.
nature. Someday meme sold for 56 lakhs. Some meme could be selling 56 lakhs. He says.
Yeah.
So could be FOMO as well. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So FOMO is in the minds of humans as we are, because we always try to jump in and always try to make sure, like, I don't want to miss the train. But coming back to the question, actually, why does Mahatma Gandhi's spectacles have value? Because there would never be another Mahatma Gandhi who has done so much tremendous, let's say, or achieved that much fame. And anything that has touched Mahatma Gandhi would immediately convert into, let's say, something of more value. So that is, I will put it one more rational or one more vis-a-vis a picture. So in an art world, no matter who is an artist, let's say if he has created 10 arts till now and suddenly he dies, those 10 arts immediately becomes so much scarce and
Mm.
gets so much get so much value suddenly. Why? Because every art is an expression of the artist. and there would never ever be that expression, that specific expression now, because that guy has like somehow left the world. So this is what actually drives the value of it, because it is all about like whether do you relate to that expression first. Because let's say you might not relate to CryptoPunks, but you might relate to Bored Ape Yacht Club, or you may relate to Loot for adventures. At first I was not able to understand Loot, but when I understood it, I was saying, boss, some now this is gonna be almost like a new initiative or new benchmark. So people have to have some work, they have to spend some time to build conviction around it. Otherwise it's all either a news or a fad.
Yeah. It reminds me of this great artist, this Dutch artist called Vincent van Gogh. When he was alive, he was painting, and his paintings were worth nothing. It's only
Yes.
after he died, and
Yes.
then his paintings started to sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yes.
Uh, so that's
It's all
something.
about, yes, it's all about expression. That's why they put a cap on these, let's say 10,000 bored ape yachts, like bored apes are there. So
Yeah,
why there would be always 10,000? Why can't anybody can come and mint them? Because they
yeah,
don't want these expression to have no value at all. That's why
yeah,
there are only 10,000 expression. Let's say every expression is different. Everyone has, that's why they call it traits, right? They say that everyone has their own traits. So this can be converted or like pegged to the expression of that particular art.
right. Makes sense. Let's just take the next question. Pretty interesting one actually. Palash Jori is asking, hi Vikas, you mentioned an NFT signifies the transfer of ownership of virtual products. How do people extend this to tangible physical things as evidenced by physical art?
It's already happening actually. So there are many. So let me take an example of uh, blockchain. Sorry, fashion on blockchain. So how does fashion on blockchain is taking or like cross-cutting this question is this. There are many brands are now like emphasizing like how do we make sure that everything is sustainable. All these SDG goals, right? Sustainable development goals are taking care. So brands are actually ensuring now my whole supply chain is traceable, right? And these NFTs tomorrow, each of the product that you will buy, let's say I buy a Zara, I think, let's say I'll buy a Zara jacket, right? And that Zara jacket can actually is going to be only, let's say, 100 Zara jacket ever like being produced by Zara. How do they ensure? They can put a, so the digital to physical, there has to be some bridge. That bridge can be a simple technology, as simple as technology as NFC. So let's say the data that goes in an NFC can be scanned and can be proved that it is only one of those 100, let's say, Zara jackets that has been claimed by Zara that is ever going to be there. And I will not go into it like how do they ensure that how it is not a first copy or second copy of it, but that
Yeah,
can be
basically, the
taken care as well.
blockchain will track the origins from the manufacturing to supply chain and everything, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
because the reputation comes at stake
yeah,
whenever someone will try to actually create a copy out of it, the
yeah.
reputation will kicks in. So we can build solution around the fragility of the reputation. We can say that we will let's say black mark you or something, black dot you.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that will save us.
absolutely. Shubham is asking, by the way, NFT may eat a lot of bureaucracy, and we don't know tomorrow what we are minting. May sell property someday. NFT needs to be protected. What is your take on that?
So I think Foho Coin is actually doing that. Foho Coin, launched by few folks from Goa. I think they are actually fractionalizing the properties, and then those Foho Coin actually signifies, or each Foho Coin is maybe, I don't know the full details, but Foho Coin, the project takes care of fractionalizing of the real world asset, and they are doing it. So the I can actually help you understand is this: never think that it is like a versus kind of a thing. Sometimes things complements each other. Let's say, consider this, just think about it. We never had tool to fractionalize, let's say, Eiffel Tower.
Hmm.
I've talked about it on one of the means this example is very close to my heart. Just think about it. Let's say if we could have, let's say, fractionalized Eiffel Tower, what can we think? What new business models can come up? So those things can actually make a lot of sense when you think from those perspective. Bureaucracies are not always going to ban everything which they don't understand. They will open up a dialogue and then they will think about it. How do we, whether can we complement each other? So fractionalization of real world asset via NFTs is opening up a like whole new inflow of new money, fresh new money. So
Yeah.
nobody will say no to fresh new money.
So, I mean, like, I'm sure you must have you were there in those days of crypto that during the ICO pump, everybody was tokenizing
Yes.
everything. So the real estate was also being tokenized.
Hmm.
So do you think like are we like maybe doing it too much with NFTs? Could be.
Yes, because as I'm saying, like every time we have seen those 2017 was like that
Yeah.
area, like everything was getting tokenized. So
Yeah.
today everything is getting NFTs. So
Yeah.
my point is
Yeah.
this. So my take on this is, everyone tries to like convert everything into NFT, but it's the audience that has to be very very
Right.
careful, because now we can create a vis-a-vis picture with crypto. We have seen, even though 2017 has damaged a lot of things, but it has left a very very huge, let's say, platform for new people to come and try those things, right?
Yeah.
Even though they burned their hand, but I think they essentially have stayed in crypto. I think the masses are increasing every now
Yeah.
in every height,
Makes sense.
I would say.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, because before I let you go, I would like you to explain me loot in under a minute.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So I was not able to understand it as well.
Yeah.
So loot for adventurers are something like this, like the generally all these projects, whichever was there, Board AP Arch Club and all these
Yeah.
CryptoPunks and all this. And I will not talk about CryptoPunks other than CryptoPunks, because CryptoPunks was also on chain. Similarly, loot put all the traits of their characters, or let's say they even not said that they will create a character, they just laid a foundation where they put the traits on chain rather than somewhere on the IPFS. What if tomorrow there is no IPFS? What if there is tomorrow no
Okay.
RVF? What will happen? Because the metadata and the image is lying there, it's not on chain. So today, loot, all the loot for adventurers, all those simple pictures, all
Yeah.
those strings live
Text.
on blockchain. So you can now, that's why you are seeing now they are running a hackathon also. So what they are saying, you can build on top of it. Why? Because everything is there on the Ethereum blockchain. So you can just query it, you can create a new smart contract. This smart contract can talk to the other smart contracts. You never
Hmm.
need to now have a chain link kind of an integration and pull the data. No, nothing. So
Well.
it has created a new wave of NFTs or something, a new wave. I cannot even term this thing like what it is, but it is a new something new
Hmm.
which is kickstarting, and nobody needs to even think about IPFS, RV, even XYZ. They can think
Yeah.
about just Ethereum. This is first of its
Oh.
kind. I
Oh.
hope I have
Yeah.
played you.
Yeah. 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 Definitely. And I was just very surprised when they were going for 10 ETH, 20 ETH, 50 ETH. I was just like, what's happening? Yeah, but that I mean, I still need to. I would love to read up a little bit more on that. But yeah, that clears the confusion for sure. Yeah, thanks, Vikas. Thanks for like joining us in every summit that we do, and thanks for taking all the time. And I really love the presentation, man. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, cheers, man. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.